There you go. No, it's too far. There you go. Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. You got yours truly, Chris Pender Sr.
Devin Pender. I'm running a little late. Empower, inspire, uplift the community. Chris gonna be proud I got that one right. Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. If you got people you want us to talk about, interview, or you just want to check in on them, see how we're feeling, how we're doing. Above Average Black Men, as A² BM.
Oh man, I gotta plug my book. I got my book on the table, Above Average Black Men. Grown Men Play Hide and Seek. It's the second release. I released it about 2 years ago. And it's coming back out now because I'm starting to get people are really starting to ask for it. So check it out. And Grown Men Play Hide and Seek by yours truly, Christopher Pender. It's on Amazon.
That was my next question. Where can you get it?
You can get it on Amazon, or you can. And my other book is on Amazon too. Give me the ball. But this is on Amazon. You can hit me up, and I'll send you an autographed copy, or you can get it from Amazon. Again, Above Average Black Men is our show, a book. Grown Men Play Hide and Seek. So nice topic, man. This topic has kind of been interesting because we had another topic and we switched to this topic. So I make sure it's clear. But we were going to talk about the narrative surrounding African-American athletes. And tonight we really kind of going to focus on female athletes. So it's two stories in particular that I want to talk about. So if you're out there, hit me up, join in. If you know my number, hit me up on my cell, jump in the conversation. First thing I want to talk about is Dawn Staley in South Carolina. Like the last 5 years, she's been one of the winningest coaches. Yeah. She's beaten Connecticut. She's beat some major powerhouses. And they lost Iowa, but they've beaten some major powerhouses.
She had a good WNBA career.
And yeah, she did. She's carried the flag in the Olympics. She's been everything. She's been amazing, man. She's a North Philly kid from Dobbins. Yeah. But I want to talk about the narrative because first they were attacking her because she was wearing Eagles jerseys. Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, when the Eagles are winning during the season, especially in the playoff run, she was representing. And then they started to attack her because they said her team, because they have a physical team, but they play within the rules.
Yeah.
That they got categorized by some of the light-skinned coaches in the league, if you know what I mean, as being barroom brawlers and thugs. And I just find it interesting how, when you lose, that's okay. But when you win, you become, and they only use those words with with black players. I'm going to go cut through the chase. Those words are never associated with Caucasian teams or even Hispanic players. It's only when the black players that, when they play physical, they become thugs, barroom brawlers. And those girls are particular girls on that team, by the way. Yeah. And they graduate. And then the second story we're going to talk about is Catlin Clark, who I got to give her credit, handled this gracefully because she said she wasn't upset with Angel Reese, but the media made a big deal out of it because she did. And it's funny because John Cena been doing that forever.
For years.
Yeah, for years. We made it famous.
Seemed like when I was watching wrestling as a kid, I remember him.
So she did the John Cena thing against Louisville, who African-American players, and everybody thought it was cute. So she loses in the national championship, and Angel Reese does it to her. Yeah. So now she's classless, and my idiot buddy Charles Barkley jumps in as well, and now she's classless and everything, and it's taken away from the game. So that's the second thing I want to talk about. The third thing is Jill Biden. No second place team has ever been invited to the White House.
Never, ever.
Ever. And they turned around and said she wants to invite Iowa to the White House. And Catlin Clark, again, showing class, said that, she doesn't think it's a good idea because LSU won the championship, but a Caucasian sportscaster brought this up. Would you have done it if it wasn't an all-white team? Would you have done that if there was a black team, two black teams? Would you have invited the second place team? Not an all-white team, but they put 5 white players out there basically at one time sometimes, Iowa. And so and that was a great question. Would you have done that if it was, Louisville or another team that had, African-American players? Would you say then they come?
Or if it was like the other way around,
Yeah.
LSU lost.
Yeah.
Were they getting that invite?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because if you go back through history when it comes to sports, I remember this before your time, UNLV, the Running Rebels. They were running they had grown men playing against boys. Larry Johnson, Grandma Moss, Stacey Augments. They had
this is like right before
Greg Anthony.
Yeah.
They had a great team. But it was funny because when they played Duke, it was almost the same thing. Nobody from the school graduates. They paint the narrative. Now you aren't saying that. When you play Duke, who's the pristine university, all this stuff they start attacking them. Larry Johnson had a gold tooth. All this stuff became issues. Which never was talked about before. So I want to dig into that narrative because even in 2023, when African Americans make up the majority of most sports, with the exception of hockey. Most major sports, from baseball, they're losing their way in baseball. Baseball, the trend is changing.
Yeah.
But you're talking about basketball, you're talking about football, and baseball doesn't bring a lot of collegiate money. So you're talking about sports who bring money into these major universities, but yet they still categorize or the narrative around African American athletes. They use those adjectives. And what I find interesting is they don't say that when they're making money off these guys. You don't hear that when the school's making money off this guy. And there's so many more narratives I can paint. There was a basketball player, I forget from what college it was, who he was with some guys, he left, they shot somebody. And
University of Alabama.
Yeah.
Was it Brandon Miller?
Yeah, I think that.
He's good too.
No, but everybody was trying to pin it on him. He should be suspended. And even when the DA came out and said, no, he's not even a suspect. You had people on Morning Joe, all these shows. Why is he still playing? But when he got cleared, nobody came out and apologized. Now, these are the same guys wanted him suspended, couldn't play in the tournament. In this dude's career, adversity. There's a white quarterback right now, and I'm not going to say who was drunk, intoxicated, knocking on doors. The police get him. He's telling the police off. I just saw it today in the thing, and I can't think of his name. He's telling the police off.
Oh, y'all. League?
Yeah, no, he's should be a top 10. Well, he was going to be a top 10 pick. And but that's my point. Nobody's talking about that.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
nobody's talking about that. I just, so it's just crazy how the narratives are so different. So we can start with you. What do you think about that?
All right. So to kind of start off, I want to say congratulations to LSU. By the way, I feel like
and UConn. I don't want to shine UConn
well too. On the men's side, congratulations to UConn as well too. But one thing I think is really unfortunate is where like things are getting kind of lost is this was probably the most attention I have seen on an NCAA women's basketball final in general.
Top rankings. They had great rankings.
And I think that was awesome. It was a good game. It was a good series. Like both that Catlin Clark girl, she's good.
Yeah, she's good.
Angel Reese, she's good. It was a lot of good players out there, so I definitely want to say congratulations on that front. But I definitely do think it's interesting that she's getting some flack because she did the whole "you can't see me" in Catlin Clark's face. It's very interesting because I feel like it's always been a part of sports. Growing up playing basketball. That's just always been a thing. There's always a bunch of trash talk and anything like that. So I didn't see anything new there.
Well, but it's funny because guys trash talk all the time.
All the time.
And I know someone and I, we were kind of exchanging on Facebook today about that. That was a part of the game when we grew up. That challenged you. That got you hyped. That got you pumped up for bragging rights. You played and, I don't think I've ever played even when I got to college, it wasn't as loud, maybe as vulgar sometimes where I grew up at.
Yeah.
But they were trash talking. Somebody would do something, they were like, hey, I mean, that's just the game has been played like that forever. And I'm not saying it has to be played like that, but I don't think I've ever played in a basketball game where nobody said anything. I can't remember, unless it happened when I was like 8 or 10 years old. That's always been a part of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about your mom. I'm not saying stuff like that. But guys posing. You put a move on somebody, you kind of look at them. Somebody on the other bench says something, you kind of look at them. And I've had coaches who I knew personally, who we, I'm not gonna say we're friends because they were older than me, but we, I knew personally, they knew me for a long time, who would trash talk me in the game. Oh, he gonna miss that free throw. He can't. They would say that. And it was and I'm talking about a grown man to it wasn't. We didn't take it personal, And you would make the shot, and you would look at him and kind of wink or laugh or something like that. That's just the way it was.
It was like it's more like a mental thing, how you get a mental edge on someone.
But why? But I want to get back to why is it different? And you may not have the answer, but I want to start with Catlin Clark first. Even she admitted she said, hey, I'm not mad at Angel because, in the spirit of competition, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And to the victor go the spoils. When you win, you can kind of, you can go to do stuff. And it wasn't, it wasn't like in the Texas game where somebody slugged somebody after the game.
Yeah.
It was like just, hey, and Catlin just was unfazed by it. But why is it different? Because when Catlin did it, it was cute. It was cute. It was funny. Everybody thought it was, oh man, that was what she did was kind of, check that out, But when it happens to the person who did it, who started the whole thing,
mm-hmm.
she doesn't get offended, but America gets offended.
Well, I think mostly the reason why is because of the person who did it and how they look. This is someone that doesn't look like a typical college women's basketball star. She got, I'm gonna be honest, she got the fake lashes, the extensions on. We're
not getting into her.
I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it.
Her appearance.
I'm just saying, I feel like that leads a big way to how she acts and certain things like that. Middle America's not used to seeing stuff like that.
So because you're nice looking, and she's a nice looking girl because she conducts herself like in a different manner.
She's a Baltimore chick. That's how she conducting herself out there on the court.
No,
I have nothing wrong.
But it's funny because her cousin played for University of Connecticut, won national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
that should be I feel like that should be the
that should be the story. Or the storyline that LSU won the first ever.
Yeah.
And they won it. They didn't win on a bad call. They didn't win it. They took the game and they won the game.
Yeah.
So I think I don't see how that thing overshadowed the game. You got people like, Sir Idiot Charles Barkley saying the same thing. That to me, that didn't take away from the game. How did that take away from it? It was a great game. They had highest ratings, I think, in a long time for the game. So trash talking and Charles Barkley surprised because he's the biggest trash talk. It's funny because all the last 2 weeks they've been showing the things that Larry Bird did.
Yeah.
And his stuff was way worse than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I heard it was a legendary trash talk.
Yeah.
Like it'd be
Yeah.
borderline disrespectful.
Say what? He walked in All-Star. He walked All-Star week, and he walks in the locker room and says, "Which one of y'all MFers coming in second?"
those fighting words.
I'm just saying though.
Yeah,
And then I was watching things. James Worthy was talking about how he playing Larry Bird. Larry Bird would tell him what he said. Yo, if you go under the screen, I'm going to go in the corner and pop it. Mm-hmm. If you go over the screen, I'm going to turn the corner and I'm going to shoot a banker off. He would tell them what he's going to do to him. He would walk up to people and say, it's going to be. And Jordan did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were some of the major trash talkers in the game, and it's not an issue. So I think it's kind of ironic how they take this one instance, and it really was no trash talking. She just put a hand up.
It was all just gestures.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, she was saying, like you said, it wasn't anything she was saying personal about the girl. It's just, point to her ring finger or doing this.
So why do you think America's made that a big deal?
Another thing is, I don't think America's used to seeing, women kind of trash talk each other like that. In that kind of regard, I just got finished saying this is probably the most viewed, women's national title. I don't think America's used to seeing, women in that competitive fight.
And I agree with that, but then why would you take the same action,
mm-hmm.
and judge it differently? I mean, my whole issue is it'd be different if they condemned Catlin for doing it, and then they got on her. But you thought it was cute when she did it. It was a funny, but it was a funny gesture when she did it.
Yeah, when she did it against Louisville, she did it. Well, she did it against a girl, Haley. I forget her last name, but another Caucasian young woman. She's pretty good too. Yeah. But she told her she did this, like, shut up, you got her down 15, that kind of thing. And no one, bad eye to that. But when they lose by 15, then Angel Reese does the same thing to her. All of a sudden, it's like a big story.
And the thing that's ironic to me, because when you play sports, when people see you do it to other people, you're going to get it back.
And I'm sure she knew that.
You're going to get it somewhere along the line, because I know, because I think the way she handled it, I think she had no ill feelings. I thought she handled it like a pro. And she said, hey, and you can't, when you play sports, you can't do stuff and expect it not to come back. It's like the person who sits in the stands and boo, 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 boo. Then when they playing somebody, boom, they want to cry. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. I mean, and trash talking, somebody's going to disagree when I say it. It's in every game.
It is.
You watch pros, who talk more? They dunk on you and stare at you. Mm-hmm. Allen Iverson became, he was already famous, but he became extra famous when he stepped over Ty Lue. When he stepped over him, that's so disrespectful. But he did it, and everybody thought that was the greatest thing. Oh, yeah, So,
we're like half the stuff Patrick Beverly says today.
It's newsworthy.
Yeah, it's a lot of, even Chris Paul, a lot of trash talk going on there.
A lot of them guys talk. And I hear, they said Tim Duncan was the biggest trash talker in the league. Yeah, they said he will whisper.
Yeah.
Nice try. Yeah, nice try. You can't stop this.
But that might be even worse.
That's what they would say. They would say it was worse because nobody's heard him.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yo, man, you can't stop me. You can't stop this. Take that. Nice try. Maybe next time. So, but I'm amazed because, even if I put the Joe Biden thing in there, if it's not, so I don't know definitively, but you make it seem like it's a black-white thing because you got the same incident, but you treat it differently. The white person does it, it's cool, it's cute. When the sister does it, she's not classy, is disrespectful, and then I go back to no other team has ever, nobody's ever done that. And it's not like she's from Iowa. That's the part that cracked me. I ain't like that's your home state.
Yeah. I feel like even like the worst part about it, like one thing I did love is that there's a bunch of like specifically black men like coming to her defense or stand up for her. I thought that was awesome. But you did see a group of, I don't know what Charles Barkley specifically said, but I did see some other people like grown men who are in media calling her, a piece of S.
Well, you know what?
Stuff like that.
Dawn Staley talked about that. She said that she thinks she doesn't know. But they were having these people in the media who were responsible for writing, not being biased, were having conversations out in public about her team. So that's why she addressed it. They were the media, the people who write about it were calling her team these names. And so that's why she addressed it, because it was getting back to her, because they were having public conversations about calling her team thugs and barroom brawls and all kind of stuff like that. Yeah. So, and the media is not supposed to be biased, but I just think we know the media controls the narrative of everything, because there's some people, no matter what the media writes, and I'm not going to say I'm shocked, but how are you any better than her by calling her that? You getting to her because she did a hand gesture. She didn't curse. She didn't say anything disrespectful, but you're disrespecting her, and you're disrespecting somebody. You don't have no. At least they were in whatever you want to say. They were in the basketball game. They were in a heated battle.
Yeah,
they were competing against each other.
And that's
but you had no skin in the game. So why are you getting upset?
Now, some of these people probably were betting on the game too.
Yeah, that's one thing. Could be. But her hand gesture didn't decide the game.
Yeah. Her
skill decided the game. Their talent decided the game.
Stopped her from getting that double-double. How about that?
But so, and I think that troubles me, because that, to me, that's the bigger story, is how, and I saw what somebody posted that, a Caucasian posted that black people always make it about race. But how can you not? How else do you look at it in America, the way America is right now, where you look at a situation where a Caucasian person does it, an African-American person does the same gesture, but the result is totally different. And some of them same people who thought it was cute when Catlin Clark did it, you're condemning. Mm-hmm. You're condemning Angel Reese for it, and calling her, or whatever you want to call her. She's a human being, and she's a kid, mind you. She's a college student.
She's 20.
Yeah, she's a college student. So you're a grown person who's supposed to be mature, supposed to be professional. Mm-hmm. You're attacking as a kid. That's a kid, and that's somebody's kid. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, and I'm sitting there saying, how disrespectful is that a mom or dad got to read or hear what you're saying about their kid?
Well, I'm sure she might have siblings. Like it's kind of crazy for a brother to go on, or even her cousin who was in the national championship. It's kind of crazy for him to see that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So then you'll be upset if you go do an interview and she won't give you an interview.
Yeah.
Or if he says I'm not talking. So I just that's the thing I guess troubles me most about it. That even in 2023, that we still deal with it, and the people who should know better. Because you're covering the sport where whether you like it or not, there are some outstanding Caucasian players.
Mm-hmm.
But the African Americans, they're bringing the money in. Those universities getting rich off these players. They're making millions off these players.
And they always have.
But you're not writing. But you're not writing about that.
Nope.
You don't. How many articles do you see about a 4.0 collegiate athlete? You don't see that. A athlete graduated with honors. You don't see that. They're out there. But if they flunk out, they're getting drunk. And like I just showed you what I was talking about, nobody's talking about this. This is, Georgia national champion quarterback. Stetson Bennett arrested after door knocking incident. He was drunk and he was wild when apparently when the police got him, he didn't want to show ID and he's telling the police, "Oh, y'all after me. Y'all been waiting to get me." So he's full of himself. But you don't hear nobody's talking about this.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And it's kind of crazy because he's a lot older. He got to be like at least 24.
Nobody's talking about this. That's my point. So you can get drunk and do something crazy as that. Yeah. But you can't do a hand gesture after a game. And it wasn't like she stuck the finger up. It wasn't like it was, and she did it with an attitude.
Yeah.
But she explained it after when they interviewed her. She said, because girls who look like me. Mm-hmm. We want you to see us. And that is true. And you said it earlier, girls basketball just doesn't get the look it should get. The WNBA, I can't wait till a team comes to Philly. But the WNBA, same thing. They don't get they got some darn good basketball players. But I'm sure Candace Parker talked a little trash. Because I see you on TNT. Yeah, I see you on TNT with those dudes, man. I'm sure she talked a little trash out there, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure she talked a little trash out there. I'm sure they weren't always, let me help you up. I'm sure they got a little bit of you.
I'm sure Dawn Staley was talking trash out there when she played.
But see, if I go back to South Carolina, that's the thing that bothered me. Her track record is almost stellar, man. I mean, she's done things for women's basketball, man. Played in stars in the WNBA. High school All-American.
Basketball in general.
She won in college. She was so good, not just as an athlete, but as a person that she carried the flag in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. All them people writing this crap, you haven't even touched the flag in the Olympics. So now, this is her she's won 2 college championships in South Carolina. So I don't understand how now you're attacking her.
You know how much money that program brings in?
Yeah, but I'm saying the media, you're attacking her. And it's crazy because, I can't, and I should have researched it. There's a coach that everybody's attacking because of the way she dresses. There's an African-American lady coach.
I know what you're talking about. Light-skinned young lady.
Yeah, and she dresses.
Texas.
She wears the heels and everything. But you look at some of these other coaches and they got on bows and nobody says a word.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's nothing. She can't really do anything about it. That's just her figure. You know what I mean?
But who can, if Dawn Staley's from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't she, and if you're an Eagle fan, you're an Eagle fan. That's just, I can't explain it why Philadelphia fans are like that. We're diehard. So she's representing her city. It's not like she got a Patriot shirt on. Yeah. She never lived in New England, and somebody says, well, she should be rocking. South Carolina don't have a team. they don't, South Carolina?
Yeah. Yeah. They really mad she was wearing that Cheney jacket a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, really? but she, because she wears a lot of Dobbins stuff. She wears tons of Dobbins stuff because she graduated from Dobbins, and for a school like Dobbins and kids in the inner city, that is a huge boost. That's a huge boost. I don't know. It's almost, to me, I find it almost insulting that in this day and age we still find ourselves, defending ourselves.
I'm just surprised that they call that specific team thugs, and which is the other term you call bar brawlers.
The coach of my old said they were bar brawlers.
Because honestly, when I watch them or whenever I see them, they look like upstanding young women doing like And my question to it would be: Would they characterize Tyler Hansborough as like a bar brawler or a thug
No.
or something like that?
Grayson Allen was
I'm
tripping
about to
people.
say,
Yeah.
Grayson Allen was really tripping people. Those specifically were dudes that were literally playing like on that gray area of dirty or not.
She had them playing Philly playground basketball because that's the way she grew up playing with boys. She grew up playing with men, and in the hood, they weren't taking a pity on her. They were banging her, hitting her. She had to. They weren't giving her free layups. She learned how to play with guys in the projects. So she taught the style of basketball that she grew up playing, the style of basketball that made her famous, the style of basketball that got her carrying the flag in the Olympics, the style of basketball, that kind of carved out a living for her.
That got her that.
Yeah, they hired her because she was a winner. Why was she a winner? Because she gets the style of basketball. So I just find it funny how people just attack her. And you attack these girls and they're kids. That's the part that amazes me because the people who are attacking them are adults, supposed to be mature adults, and you're attacking a bunch of college kids.
And they got kids the same age.
And they're college kids. And they would have a heart attack if somebody attacked their kid that age. So it's interesting, man. And again, it's sad that we live in a time zone, man, where it's like that. We live in a time zone where we just kind of, I don't know.
Now, real quick, I just wanted to touch on, the going to the White House. If people didn't know, Joe Biden was suggesting that, the team that finished or lost the national championship, that they also come to the White House as well, too, just to celebrate, sportsmanship and different things like that. That has never happened before in the history of American sports where the runner-up has ever came to visit, the White House. A lot of people are speculating why the reason is. Some people think it's political.
We know the reason.
But some people think, she just doesn't want that team from LSU coming in because of the way some of those players look. So personally, why do you think Joe Biden said for Iowa to come up?
Well, one, I think because, and this is my opinion, I think because they were putting 5 Caucasian players out there. And I think some people, I think the subtle racism that, and some people say not so subtle, or biases that we deal with, because I think deep down inside, they still want to see 5 white guys win. There's a lot of people like that. They still want to see 5 white guys win. It's like why they fought so hard to not have black quarterbacks. They're not smart. And even now, Jalen Hurts is off a little bit. He's not accurate. Somebody else is just having a bad day. If you're a Caucasian quarterback, you got to be terrible before they really start coming down.
You got to be real bad.
Like I listen to somebody, they talk about Lamar Jackson. Well, he has accuracy. This dude put Baltimore on his back.
Unanimous MVP.
Literally. Yeah, but that's still, you still hear that. But then you talk to a guy, now it's different, but when Carson Wentz, he was having mental struggles, all these issues that they give these guys, when they, and you have quarterbacks in the NFL who probably shouldn't even be in the NFL. You got quarterbacks who won a Super Bowl who were terrible. Mm-hmm. They were just on great teams, but the narrative around African-American athletes has just been different.
They got to be bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, and I think even now you would think it will be different because, they've kind of revolutionized the game. I don't know many people who go pay to see guys just run up and down the court throwing bounce passes, and there's no real, people like dunks. Mm-hmm. They like the flair of the game. People going behind their back and they like that's becoming part of the NBA. And it sells. Mm-hmm. That's why before that people were going to see the Globetrotters because the Globetrotters were doing all that stuff. So it's just interesting how that's the position that we take, and I think I think Joe Biden needs to pay attention to who put her in office. And that those folk who they voted for y'all. That's what got you over the hump. Mm-hmm. And I also think some people think because the hand gesture for sportsmanship, we're going to even the playing field. This is all my humble. I don't know this to be fact, but as an athlete, and I know I worked hard to win a championship, and for 85 years, teams been going to the White House for a long time. And now all of a sudden you talking about bringing a team that came in second. problem with that because you work long and hard to do that. That's what distinguishes you, as a champion. To me, that's just as bad as, I'm not getting in trouble for this, that's just as bad as a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Your team go 13-0, you win everything, you get the same trophy to do who win 0-13.
It's almost like, what was the point of all this?
Yeah, that's not fair. So I think, and I think that's what's wrong with sports now. I think like Ben Simmons, that's what's wrong with guys like that. They're just mentally not tough because, all you got to do is show up. No, if you grew up playing the hood, you played. Even we knew we weren't getting out, but you played every game like it meant something. And so I think that goes away when you start saying, hey, everybody, everybody makes the team. Everybody's going to play. Kids don't even come to practice and he going to play. He don't even care about the game and he going to play. I think, you got to get back to that. Go back to Jill Biden. Again, I don't know what was in her head, but that's their parents. And when you're in that position, their parents means a lot. Especially when you blurt it out. You don't even say why. Oh, because it was a good game. There's been a lot of good national championship games.
Over history.
Okay, you didn't say University of Miami because y'all came in second. Y'all weren't even supposed to be there when they lost to UConn. You didn't tell them, I'm sorry, San Diego.
Yeah.
You didn't say San Diego. Because y'all are underdogs, y'all made it far. We're going to invite you to the White House. You didn't say it to them.
It was Iowa specifically.
Yeah, you didn't go to them to say it. So I think I don't know what her motives was, but their parents. And I was surprised nobody came out afterwards and said anything. But again, Catlin Clark handled it with class, and she said, that's not a good idea.
And she was smart for that. Me personally, I definitely do think there's a racial aspect to it. You don't want to see that many dreadheads, walk around the White House, doing the gritty and all that stuff. But I also do think it is a little political motivation there because that is
pandering.
A large section of the
pandering.
Yeah, that's a large section of the numbers they need to stay in the White House.
But sports ain't the place to do that.
Sadly, it's everywhere.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but sports is not. You're messing with. I mean, come on, man. You think even if that wasn't true, like you said, you don't think people came up with the same thing you said? That you just pandering to a group of people now?
Mm-hmm. That's all they do.
But in that pandering, you're also feeding the flames of somebody who is racist.
Yeah.
Somebody who does think that way. You're feeding that. You feed the narrative.
Yeah, it's like I didn't see the Eagles get an invite.
No, to the White House, and it's funny because Jalen Hurts balled out.
Yeah,
he balled out. If they would have won, he would have been a hands down MVP. I didn't see nobody walk up. The only person who gave him kudos after that game was Mahone. Patrick. Nobody came up to them and says, "Yo, we're gonna give you part of this trophy, bro. Yo, we're gonna break you off, a little extra because you balled out." Yo, some of them same writers who were dogging him, waiting for him to crash and burn. Mm-hmm. I didn't see. You're not even apologizing. I didn't see people line up to give him commercials. He came in second. That's the and as an Eagle fan, but you came in second. And you're right, he balled out. I mean, come on. Yeah. It came down to the last possession. They took the lead. He came back, took the lead right back. It came down to who had the ball last, and they won. And they won. It wasn't they beat the Eagles. That's just the reality of it all. But he didn't get no second place prize.
Or the Celtics. They not going to the White House.
And they played the good series against Golden. Yeah, they did. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's all speculation. But I do think that I think when you're in that position, you got to think before you speak. But I also believe sometimes, and I don't know it personally, but I know when you have certain biases and certain issues, it comes out when your emotions take over. Mm-hmm. If you don't like something, when you're emotional, it pretty much comes out. And she's probably had the conversation so many times around that, people talking about it. She was at the game and, this is in her head and she's formed an opinion and in her mind. And then just that moment, she got the mic in her hand and she started talking and how she felt. And that's how she really feels. Mm-hmm. So I'm not getting on her for that. But I would like to, even now, to my knowledge, she hasn't came out and explained why. Why do you think that they should be there?
Yeah, she's probably not going to do that.
It was a good game, but you should to make that. I mean, come on. First of all, you changing the way the history has been run.
Yeah,
That's just
100%.
the way it goes. It's on winners. It's just been winners. Just so so now you want to come along and say, okay, yeah. So what happens next year when somebody's finished second? They get invited,
or if they happen to not get invited, are they going to?
I'm just saying, or San Diego. San Diego State? Should they be saying, yo, we were underdogs? Should we, they got there on the last second shot.
Mm-hmm.
Should we not? And they beat Florida, the team from Florida, who wasn't so what? So they say, well, we ain't even supposed to be. So should we get invited?
For real. So let me ask you this, because it came out that Angel Reese said she wasn't going to go, even after Joe Biden apologized and different things like that. Let me ask, do you think that's the right move? If you were in those shoes, would you do the same thing?
Well, that's not for me to say, because I think I don't know how she said it.
Yeah.
But I understand that. I think there's the old line from Spider-Man that he says, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think when you get in that position, so to speak, you have great power because people are looking at you. And if I go back to what she said it was people who look like her, who people ignore, look right over, she's entitled to make a choice. It's like when Steph Curry and them decide we're not going to the White House. They are entitled to make a choice. And you can't have a double standard. You can't tell them, about you're a role model. You're this responsible person. You got to do this. You got to do this. And then when they make a stand for something they believe in, now you want to chastise them.
Yeah.
And in her mind, she believes like, this is to go against what I believe, what I stand for. So I can't knock her for that. I can't. Just like when Steph Curry decided not to go. You don't agree with this guy politics. Especially if you know a guy don't like you. Like people that look like you. Why you want to go there and pony up to this guy and celebrate? So I get it. And if she feels like that it was racially motivated, if she feels like, these are the same people who persecuted me, because they're not going to stop just because she goes to the White House.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be all the questions she'll be asked while she at the White House. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't. It's up to her. I mean, maybe I could see me closer doing what she's doing, because that's not going to make or break her career. Mm-hmm. She's going to the NBA, WNBA, and she's going to get paid. So she's not getting anything extra for going. Nobody's ever we're going to give you another signing bonus because you went to the White House. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, that's not going to be a factor.
There's not guys who were in the bubble on those teams because they went to the White House got drafted. They didn't say, because you went to the White House. So I mean, I think the worst thing was what happened. And I still don't think that's going to bother somebody from drafting her. But I say worse because that's going to be a rap that's going to follow her. That somebody's going to bring it up 5 years from now. She can be impeccable and do nothing wrong. Somebody 5 years from now is going to say, remember, she did this. It's almost like, it's not the same comparison because it was much worse. But it's like you couldn't watch football without talking Michael Vick. Every time Michael Vick's name came up, went to dogfight.
Oh, they still do that to this day.
I'm saying, you in the middle of Monday Night Football, he breaking records, and they bringing up the dogfight.
He threw 6 touchdown passes.
Yeah, his jersey's in the Hall of Fame now, and they talk and which had no bearing on the game whatsoever. So and people still talk about that. And I'm not saying it wasn't wrong. I'm not saying that you should forget it, but when you're an athlete, especially an athlete of color, man, they don't forget. They don't forget, man. It's almost like Easter's coming up, so this is the great analogy. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. And then when you screw up, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. I mean, that's almost how you are as a black athlete. And I think they need to understand it. I think some of them don't understand. So when things happen to them, they're like brittle and broken. I think there are people who look like us, who like Charles Barkley, you don't know this girl's motives, you don't know why she said it, and you're commenting on it. And you, one of the biggest trash talkers out there, you spit on a kid, you threw somebody through a plate glass window. Your resume is not exactly, your resume is not exactly spotless. And you criticizing a college kid, you don't know why. You don't know what was said, and I'm not saying she did. You don't know what was said during the game. You don't know what that girl said to her during the course of the game. You have no idea. And so I just think, that's what we do. But the White House, no, I'm not going to, that's her choice.
Yeah.
No, I would. No, you can't talk crap and then go.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's different. Now, you can't talk. You can't talk smack and then go. But I think, deciding not to go. I think, I think that's what's wrong with us as a people. We don't stand up for what we believe.
Mm.
We'll sit around barbershops and talk about it, man. We'll have barbecues and talk about it. We'll sit around happy hour and talk about it, man. But when it comes to actually doing stuff, a lot of us, we're not going to take the risk. I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick. What he sacrificed. And all those people who came down on him. And then when it turned out that he was correct, when, stuff started happening, crickets.
So this is just a little off topic, but I'm just curious. Do you think ultimately this was good for women's basketball?
Oh yeah, man, yeah. Because more guys are going to watch it, man. More guys are going to watch it now. Yeah, it's good for women's basketball, man. More guys are going to watch it, man, because guys are going to find it entertaining. And most guys like that in sports.
Shows some personality.
I mean, there's people who play cards who talk trash.
Yeah.
Who that's what they do. I mean, so especially if you grew up in an environment, the hood, they talk trash. Pinochle, they talking trash. Spades, they talking trash. Blackjack, they talking trash. Dominoes, they talking trash. Man, it's bam, I'll take that. I mean, that's just part of it, man. You playing horse. That's what happens in the community. It happens. So I think more people will watch it because of that. More people know who they are now too.
Yeah.
More
I feel
people
like that's an important part.
I think that really helped. I disagree with Barkley talking about it took away from the game. Nah, because I guarantee you now, people going back watching the reruns. People who didn't know who Angel Reese and Catlin Clark is. Now they know.
Yeah.
That whole sequel. Even the coach who called South Carolina, Barroom Brawlers. She's out there now.
It was a woman that said that.
Yeah, the coach I always said it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't understand.
And the guy from Connecticut said the same thing because they beat UConn early in the year.
UConn?
Yeah, he jumped on the bandwagon too. Yeah, but when you were crushing everybody about 40 points, it was okay. You enjoyed it. When your guys run up and down the court and you were so much better than all the teams, it was great. You loved it.
Yeah, no one wasn't calling them thugs or anything like that.
And you loved it. So I just think, I think in general though, I think it's good for college, for collegiate basketball for females, especially when everything about being equal. They wanted the equal locker rooms and weight rooms, and they should. Everything. So this kind of this for some people, not for me because I'm a basketball fan, but for some people this almost legitimizes it.
For the casual.
Yeah, they just so this is real. I got to check it out now. This is must see basketball. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's always had the skill part was always there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. But you have to be a basketball fan. If you're not a basketball fan, and a pure basketball fan, you kind of tune every now and then. You're gonna watch the guys' game.
Yeah.
Not because it's better. It's because in your mind, you think it's better. You just think when you think of girls' basketball, you're not thinking of the physicality.
Yeah.
You're not thinking of the skill level. You're not thinking about the athleticism. They don't think about stuff like that.
I will say this: I am excited for the rematch next year, and I think.
You think they're both gonna be there?
Yeah, because I think women basketball they gotta stay 3 years, something like that. Which is kind of crazy in my opinion, but it is what it is. I definitely do. Like you said, I think it's great for the game of women's college basketball. I hope they see each other next year, get another go at it. I hope all the numbers increase. This was definitely awesome.
But I give you the perfect example.
I just don't want to take away from
I'm not putting on the same level.
Yeah.
But Bird and Magic changed the game of basketball, man, because it was the same thing. Because you had this white country boy in college who was dominating, and you had this brother from the inner city who was dominating. They played in the national championship. That was so much hoopla around it. Magic won, but that carried them to the NBA. They changed the face because now everybody was watching NBA because now that became the rivalry, Bird versus Magic. McDonald's made a commercial out of it. Now who knew they were going to become such great friends?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that was huge. That changed, and to be honest, it was because it was white versus black, and they knew that was going to draw. So I see this something similar. I'm not putting them on that same level, but yeah, people are going to watch it. That game will be on national TV next year. That'll be a Sunday afternoon game that you're going to see. That if they do schedule them, and they will.
Hardwood Classic.
Yeah, that's going to be on national TV next year, man. And they're going to hear about it all year long.
It was just awesome to see in that regard. And again, congratulations,
but I mean,
LSU.
It's funny because I think basketball and football, they talk way too much trash. In NBA, too much trash. NBA and football, especially football,
it's
during
more
the off
now,
season, man. Yeah,
the
I mean,
mic'd up thing and everything. People got cell phones, you can hear it.
But but even the comments to the paper now, some of the stuff they say, not paper, to the media, is it's like, especially if a guy leave a team, man, it's like
they did Russell Westbrook dirty.
So I do think that's kind of crazy, but also people like it, and the league likes it because when they're not playing games, it keeps them in the newspaper. Like football season's not going on, all that talking stuff back there, it keeps the NFL at the forefront. It keeps people engaged with the NFL. That's why they talk about the draft. Soon as the season's over, draft ain't happening yet. Every day you see commercials about the draft. Because they trying to keep people engaged. So when stuff like that happens, it's great when you can take Ja Morant and put him against the Golden State Warriors and they talk about trash talk. That's good for TV because people go tune in. And they tune in more. The casual basketball fans are going to tune in now because they trash talking.
Let me ask you this. And this is specifically more geared towards like LSU, but you could throw Iowa in this. Mm-hmm. Do you think this has inspired more young women, to be unapologetically them and, to go out and chase their dreams? Like, do you think it was one of those things that was very, inspirational for maybe a young girl out there that wants to play basketball too, or any sport really?
It's a good question. It's a good question because I think the question has two sides to it. I think there's going to be some, but they were good already.
Yeah,
they were good already.
But it could be some players that maybe they don't talk as much, but seeing someone that look like.
But that's what I'm saying too. I think for some who were good already on both sides, white and black, the unapologetic part, it's some who that's been in them.
Yeah.
They've been wanting to talk trash because they grew up like Dawn Staley and they grew up like those playing against boys and different things, and that's the environment. And they haven't. I think you're going to see a little more trash talk. I think you will. But I think for the girls who are just starting out, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, I think part of it will be because that's the biggest stage in college basketball, and for years it was kind of overshadowed by men. I think this is the first year that I can remember that overshadowed the men's championship.
Yeah.
So I think that's the turning point. So I think more girls will probably pick up a ball, but I think it'll go both ways because with stereotypes come with it too.
Yeah.
If you act like that, then you're going to be a certain way. And so I think that comes along with that kind of behavior too. That people are not separating the emotions and the competitiveness of the game, from the people. So you said it earlier. You kind of touched on earlier because she has lashes and she has long hair, But I see more and more girls in the game like that. Candace Parker.
Yeah, and personally, I think it's cool that she's coming to the game like that. Personally, I think
she probably got a boyfriend like everybody else too. I'm just saying, but I think I don't know. I just think, again, that's America. And I think America can be full of bias, can be full of stereotypes.
Prejudice.
I think a lot of America is easily influenced. Mm-hmm. If you're charismatic, you can influence people. I think a lot of America influenced by people with titles. It doesn't mean they don't naturally research what somebody says because somebody's a doctor or whatever. They got letters behind their name that people take it. We like titles. Mm-hmm. And I think America looks at sports sometimes for the wrong reasons. I think some people look at sports and they think it's supposed to be the polar opposite of the world we live in. It should be their escape.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had somebody tell me before I left Calvary, I had a Caucasian guy tell me, "Well, I don't watch sports, for all the political stuff." But you forget, you're watching people, and people participate in the world. They live in the world. They get discriminated against. They get hated against.
They're human.
Yeah, they have arguments with their wife, their kids.
Yeah.
It's America. But I think people see sports as this fantasy place where the world is not supposed to collide. But how can it not collide when you got people who are experiencing worldly challenges playing basketball? That's just the reality. And some of them get divorced. Some of them, they get married. They have children. They experience death.
Yeah.
They experience loss of fight. They experience stuff that everybody experiences. So I don't know how you think you're going to watch a sport and that's not going to be a part of it. But for somehow, I think there's a large portion of America that think when I'm supposed to watch sports, I'm not. None of that stuff is supposed to be there.
Like
they just supposed to just run up down the court, bounce the basketball, and entertain me. But that's just that's just not how it is. Some of those guys are good because of their lives. Because that was their bread and butter. That was their way out. They got that sense of hunger and thirst from being poor, or being in a really competitive place, and they wanted to get a sense of identity. Or trying to get off a farm, or just trying to get out of rural area. There's so many reasons why guys, work hard to become good. But I don't think they separate. I'm going to take my personal life out of the game. I'm just going to play basketball.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, part of me is still like stuck on that whole University of South Carolina.
But again, I'm not surprised by it because I think nobody anticipated her to win like that.
Yeah.
She came from Temple. It wasn't like she came from mega powerhouse. But she wins. She's won everywhere she went. If that's the worst thing you can say about her, that her team plays. I mean, come on. There's so many people in sports you can say so many things about. You can't attack her character. You can't attack her integrity. The worst you can say was her team plays physical. Okay, but that's basketball. Basketball is not meant to be played like you waltzing. It's just, people go to if you went to an NBA game and there was no physicality, people would leave. People get mad now because there's hardly no defense. 120 points a night. I watched it last. I think 4 guys scored 50 points the last 2 weeks. And people complaining because no defense. Can you imagine what it'd be like if there was no physicality at all? With athletes at that level of athlete, everybody be putting up 60 points a night. So and then people would be complaining. So I just think it's just where we are in this country, man. I think there's some color will always be an issue. I think there's some people in this country, they're so full of stereotype and bias that everything they see through that lens. You name Tyler Hansberry, and there's a couple guys who are really, really, really physical.
Yeah.
And that title never got associated with them. But if you're African American, you're not aggressive. You're a thug. You're a hooligan.
Mm-mm. I feel like what's really getting lost here is like the fact that they're kind of not raising, but when someone drops their kid off of school, you're in the hands of the coach at that point. They're dealing with young, upstanding citizens. I feel like that's the part that's getting lost here. You don't hear anything bad in the media about most of these college players at all. At least on the women's side, you really don't hear anything negative from Dawn Staley players. It's like they show up.
Or Dawn Staley.
At all. Yeah. At all. So I feel like that's something that's getting lost here is that there are young, upstanding citizens.
But I think it's on purpose. I think you don't see. I can't paint a picture of you being young and upstanding and then try to sell a narrative that you're a thug. It doesn't go hand in hand. But if I only attack that you're a thug, if you only say it 3 times a year, that's the message that people who follow me will associate with that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's like when I listen to people talk about Jalen Hurts, and some people say, well, I never saw what they saw. I always thought he was a pretty good quarterback. Most people just share the narrative that they heard somebody else say. He'll never be a good quarterback. He'll never be able to do this. They didn't have anything to go by. Like, if you look at his stats in college, they weren't that bad. He had a bad game. when he got subbed in for the game. When Tua came in for him, he had a bad. But nobody talked about he won games when Tua got hurt to get him in position to win the next day. So I mean, it's people follow narratives, man. They don't actually look for the truth because it's easy. It's easy.
I mean, the truth requires research.
Yeah, but this is and I love America, so don't think I'm bashing America, but the media knows exactly what it's doing. They know what to put out there, what to feed, because they know a lot of people are like sheep. They just look at TV and they take it and run with it.
Yeah.
I don't have to know you, but the media say this is who you are, so I believe it. I believe it, man. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I know we got to close. But you would think in 2023 for a country who's really trying to overcome, some racist things.
Melting pot.
Yeah, man. And Joe Biden should know better. You're talking about, we were, with George Floyd, the last couple of murders with African Americans, man. You're talking about Charlottesville. You're talking about the hate that Donald Trump has been spewing, attacks on synagogues, attacks on churches, attacks on Asians. Yeah, but all this hate out here. So you think she would know better, to not even feed a narrative like that, and maybe she honestly didn't know, because when you have biases, you don't, but also think when you're in office, you're held to a different level of accountability.
Different standard.
And so I just think, that's just one more thing that you give people, to hang their hat on.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to have people saying, well, why now we mad at Joe Biden because Iowa didn't get invited. Or he just didn't want them to come to the White House. Next we'll be saying, he don't like white people. I mean, that,
it's a whole nother storm.
Yeah. So I just think, again, I just think we have to understand the climate we live in, and you have to understand your audience. And I think, yeah, you do. And we in a time right now, man, where pretty much everything you say matters if you're in that kind of position. And again, if that was your 20-year-old daughter, is that a narrative you would want painted? For people calling her, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get a guy like Charles Barkley, who everybody knows, he gonna say something controversial, so you go to him. They didn't go to somebody else like Michael Jordan. I didn't see him go to. I didn't see him go to Shaquille O'Neal. They go to somebody who they know is going to say something controversial out his mouth every time, which is why they go to him. He's no great spokesman for African Americans, not at all. But you got a better chance of him saying something stupid, so you go to him because he's going to say something. And I think that kind of plays into the narrative too. I mean, how many other athletes could they went to who's still playing the game?
Exactly.
Steph Curry, stars of the game, LeBron James.
CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys you could have went to in a game right now. That's the question, man. You could have went to a Magic Johnson. Who was a trash talker.
Yeah.
You could have went to a Larry Bird. I mean, there's so many people you could have went to, and you went to Charles Barkley because you knew he was more likely than not say something stupid, or you just knew it. So that's why you go to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great player. Don't get me wrong. But he's never been known for making the wisest, for saying the wisest stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I just think, that's the sad part about it. You go to him because, he's more likely something off the cuff.
Yeah. Again, it's just unfortunate. But, again, just got to say it one more time. I don't want it to be lost that LSU won. Congrats to them. I don't want it to be lost that, I feel like the game of women's basketball is really getting into a good place with the amount of views they had on it, and let's just hope that it continues to grow and prosper. Other than that, any closing thoughts that we just gonna rock out?
Nah, man, closing thoughts is, man, we need to start preaching and teaching unity.
Yes.
And it's funny because I was talking today with two friends today. Sports is the one thing that unifies us in this country. Eagle fans, man. When Eagles playing, white, black, German, Greek, Jew, whatever it is, man.
The guy in Boston.
Everybody friends. Yeah. I mean, sports does that. And so it's a shame when somebody takes something like this in sports and turns it into something that could actually be, divide again.
Yeah.
That actually cause a divide again. And so I think, we just got to start thinking unity. How do we come together, man? How do we make America a great country? not great again because the history in this country ain't so great. So I hear people say that. But I think, how do we do that? How do we begin to not be surprised when stuff like this is said? So yeah, that's the interesting part, man.
Yeah, but hey, check us out next week. We'll be back again at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Shout out Chris Jr. We hope you're listening somewhere. Going to get a chance to catch this episode.
No, we hope you're enjoying happy hour because we know you ain't listening.
I try to give you the benefit of the doubt,
But yo, man, we'll check you out next week. Same time, same channel. Welcome. Again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Thank you.